Viewers, welcome to Radio Metro Mail. I am Emamul Haque and you are watching Helpline. In Helpline, we discuss issues related to immigration, particularly Canadian immigration. Today, we will be talking about entrepreneurship immigration. Many people say business or investment immigration in relation to the Ontario provincial immigration process. How does it work in the Ontario province? Welcome to our show, Lulwa.
Thank you, Imam.
So today we like to give some idea about the particular immigration to our audience. The topic we chose today is the business immigration or the entrepreneurship, or those who like to start up their business in Canada, particularly in Ontario. So what option do they have here?
So Ontario actually recently changed the threshold in terms of the investment requirements. They were a bit higher and not as competitive with regards to other provinces. So it was early this year, I think late spring, early summer, where the net worth and the investments have been amended. So in Ontario, as in, again, most provinces, you have investments. Basically, the program is divided into two sections. Everything's similar, but if you want to invest within the GTA versus outside the GTA, and GTA is the Toronto,
Greater Toronto
yeah, the Greater Toronto area. So normally the requirements within the GTA is much higher than those outside. So that's really what the change was. In terms of the change, the inside GTA, the net worth is now 800,000 with the investment of at least 600,000, and outside GTA the net worth is 400,000 with minimum investment 200,000. Again, this is minimum, so it doesn't mean that if you have that net worth and willing to invest that amount, you will be eligible, because it's points based. So it's an expression of interest, just like the rest of the provinces, and points are allocated depends on where and how much they're planning to invest and which location. And even in Ontario, outside GTA, depending on whether communities are higher or lower a certain amount of population, again, there will be different points and requirements.
So, Lulwa, thank you very much. I think in last episode we discussed about the similar kind of things, that the only resource is not enough. With resource, you have to have relevant experience. With regard to the experience and resource, what are the other criteria one has to fulfill as an eligibility of a particular program that we are discussing?
Yeah, I mean, just like other provinces and territories, the main requirement is not just having the resources. They have to show that they have the experience. So to break them into two things and clarify both of them, resources does not just mean having the money, because some people say, okay, so I have got $10 million in my bank account, yeah, I want to immigrate under the business program. Well, they may not qualify, because how did you get those $10 million? You have to show the source of the funds. Was it from legal sources? Was it from your business experience? Was it inherited? Do you have proof of those funds, how you accumulated them? That's one thing. The other thing is the experience. Do you have business ownership experience, or do you have executive management experience? In Ontario, they require executive experience, meaning senior manager and above. Why? Because when you're at a senior manager level, like vice president of human resources, VP of finance, or president of operations, you're at a position of hiring and firing, right? You're at a position of decision making. So just like owning a business, that's where the mentality is. So points will be allocated for business ownership versus experience. But if you're a teacher who has a side business on and they've accumulated 600,000, unfortunately, that experience, unless it's on as a business owner, like you've got your school, you've got your own business, will not qualify you to meet the business experience, number one. So that will disqualify you from meeting the requirement, even though you have the minimum funds. So
it has to be well matched with your
yes,
experience and resource.
Exactly. Plus, again, they should not have any admissibility issues, because that would also be an impact on their application. Because even if they're eligible, but they have a criminal record, they have, you know, in some cases, some serious medical conditions, but sometimes they can be addressed. But normally serious criminal records could also be a reason why they would maybe eligible, they would be eligible, but they would be inadmissible for the process. So that has to be assessed to see where and when and whether there is a timeline that they can apply. So it's important to understand that from the beginning.
Thank you. Is there any specific business requirement, or they can come and they can do any business? Is there anything specific?
So in terms of business experience, the business that they're going to be doing, well, it depends. Inside GTA versus outside GTA. There are lists of ineligible businesses. We spoke, I remember in the previous episode, about passive versus active businesses. So any kind of business that is passive will not be eligible for Ontario Entrepreneur Program. Within GTA, there's a list of ineligible businesses. For example, laundromats, tire recycling, pawn shops are not eligible within GTA or outside GTA. We have to look at where that person wants to invest and what businesses would be accepted within that location.
Okay, so there are certain businesses that they are not allowed to operate here.
Yes,
definitely.
for sure.
Okay, so say for example, if my application has been approved as an entrepreneur, so at what time I will get initially I think probably I will get a temporary work permit, and then gradually I will get the permanent residency, and then at one point probably I will get the citizenship. So could you please give us some idea about the whole thing, and by when the family will be joining the particular person and their kids will be going to school, and how does it work?
So to go briefly over the process, just like we spoke in the previous episode, the first thing is creating an expression of interest. Yeah. With the expression of interest, we technically do a lot of the groundwork, because we need to prove we don't want to, creating the profile doesn't take time. You just enter the information and it's done. But if we cannot validate that, then the applicant will be in trouble, and sometimes Ontario could consider that misrepresentation. So the applicants creating expression of interest have to be very careful in that regards. If you're saying my net worth is 2.5 million, you need to know with concrete evidence that is your net worth. And remember, net worth is assets less liabilities. So you may have property worth $1 million, but there's a mortgage on it, so the net worth is actually less. So you have to be cognizant of that. So once the expression of interest is created, assuming that person's score was high enough to be selected in the next draw, what happens is they get an invitation to apply. They have the specified period of time to submit a full application, 60 days, with supporting documents, with the business plan, with explanation how they plan to invest, how they plan to hire, who do they plan to hire, where do they plan to do the venture. If the application is approved by Ontario immigration authorities, then they will issue a letter of support. Okay, this letter of support, they will apply for a work permit, LMIA exempt. So they apply for a work permit based on that support from the province to come and start that business. Now, once the principal applicant gets the work permit, actually at the same time, we can apply for the applicant for the work permit. We can apply for the accompanying spouse, also an open work permit, and any children that they have, they will apply for a study permit to come and study in Ontario for free in the public schools.
So they can initiate the process at the same time, or
at the same time, okay, because it's really based on the letter of support that they get from the province, meaning that the family, the applicant is going to come to start investing and start the business. Now that person is going to come with their family, so it's perfectly natural to do that. And once they start here, they start the process. the provincial authorities will continue the monitoring. Within a period of after 20 months, they can actually apply to the province of Ontario for the provincial nomination, but they have to show that they've complied with all the requirements that they've initially advised in their business plan, that based on their expression of interest, right? So if the province approves them, they get the nomination. Once they get the nomination, they turn around to the federal government and apply for permanent residence and continue to work. And once they apply for permanent residence and become permanent residents and land, then they have to count the days towards citizenship. So whether they're going to be eligible or not, again, depends on eligibility and admissibility. But it's important to know that the province will continue the monitoring from the moment that they start implementation of their business, throughout the process of the nomination, post the nomination, up until they get the PR, and even after the PR. So Ontario is continuously monitoring them in terms of for survey, for various reasons. So getting the permanent residence and leaving will be an issue because their intention is to reside in the province. And that could trigger misrepresentation. It could trigger a lot of complications. So they have to have a willingness and interest an intention to reside in the province of Ontario from the beginning till the end of the processing of their application.
Lulwa, thank you very much. You have given us the whole process, how it works. Say, for example, my application has been approved. I have moved to Canada. I started my business. But at one point of time, my business failed, So what is the consequence of this? Your business may fail. It may not work here the way you are expecting. So in that case, what is the consequence with regard to the immigration, the permanent residency or the citizenship? Is there any impact on that?
So with regards to any business, the intention is that the business should make a profit. Okay,
yeah.
So the business owner should have active involvement in the business on a day-to-day basis, 75% of the time, just like in other provinces. Now, normally any business, the lifespan of a business, the first 3 years, in principle, losses are expected because that's you're investing, you're preparing for the growth after that. But the province can look to see if this was more of a passive investment. They have, not everyone who invests will be approved, right? Because if they don't comply with the requirements, then the provincial authorities have the upper hand to say, you've not met the requirements based on the intended purpose. Again, if a business loses the first year, second year, third year, it doesn't mean that it's going to be refused. It's just that the intention of that business should be to make a profit, and they should really put every effort to make sure that this business is profitable and having a positive impact on the economy, hiring of employees and all that.
So does that mean that if I start something in 2-3 years time, if I say that this is not making profit, I can change my business or I can do something else? Is it allowed?
I advised before, for anyone who wants to spend hundreds of thousands of dollars, my advice is to come to the province of Ontario, have a look around, decide where they want to invest. Ontario is huge, right? So, and there's a lot of demand for various business programs. That person may come with a mindset, but once they come here, they realize that they could actually do something else. And we've seen that even with our clients. They come here, they've planned to do one thing, but when they come here, they see the proposed business, they decide that, oh, you know what, based on the need, I could do this, I could do that. We incorporate it into the business plan. At the end of the day, we want the client to be successful. We want them to be able to land ultimately as permanent residents and have a successful application. But at the same time, we want them to also succeed in their business venture, not just for the sake of immigration. So a lot of people, when they ask, oh, do you have an off-the-shelf business that you can share with us? This is not what we recommend. We always recommend to come find something that is personal to you, you know, something that you connect with, because lots of people have turned hobbies into businesses, right, and successful businesses. So it's very important. Look before you leap. Come. Exploratory visits are required for purchasing of an existing business anyway. So they might as well come and explore and see what it is that they're planning to go into. So that's really my advice.
Thank you. Dear viewers, today we tried to give you an idea about the business immigration or entrepreneurship immigration, particularly in Ontario, and Lulwa tried to give us an idea about the whole process, how it works. If you have any further question, please email us, send us an email. Our email address is radio@themetromail.com. Thank you very much. In our next episode, we'll talk about something else related to Canadian immigration. Until then, please take care and stay well. Thank you.